Okay, we're going to be looking at another inevitable swipe at Nintendo that failed miserably, and most people don't know of it as a result. It's called the Sega Nomad. It's kind of sort of another one of those things that's like one of those huge battery guzzling handheld machines that faded into obscurity soon after it was discontinued, and not many people know about it. It's kind of the same thing as the Lynx game, the Game Gear, and yeah. So so this is essentially a portable Genesis. In fact, it actually uses the same cartridges. Yeah, it goes in the top. It sticks down a bit, which does look kind of weird. It sticks at the top. We have a battery pack. Yeah, the batteries don't actually go into the actual console. They go in this battery pack that clips on the back of the console itself. There's a little clip on the back. Yeah, so yeah, I have quite the collection of games and a controller. I can't. I'll get to that later. I had a regular Genesis in the past, but it broke, so I got this on eBay to replace it. Looking at the console itself, we see, well, the console itself. Well, yeah, we see a button that says mode. I don't know what the purpose of that does. I don't know if mine's just broken or something, or if, I don't know. Well, I don't know what it's supposed to do, but I've pressed it in a variety of different situations, and it's never done anything. So we have this 6-button format. It's like there is a 3-button controller and a 6-button controller. This my regular controller is just a regular 3-button controller. And on the back we see where the thing goes in. Please don't ask about the paper that's taped to the back. That's where the battery pack clips on. And again, this is like another one of those things. It takes like 6 AA batteries, and this beast drains in a few hours. Just like everything else that is, well, not Nintendo. You just push it on the back, and it goes on and just kind of clips on. And it sits on there pretty well, although sometimes if you bump it, the battery pack comes crashing to the ground and shuts off your game. This actually is a joystick, which is actually quite nice. I like it. It's certainly better than the PSP joystick, I can tell you that much, although that really isn't saying much, is it? In my opinion, to be perfectly honest, I really don't like the PSP's joystick. Although I don't really like the PSP as on the whole. I really don't like the PSP that much, but I'll get into that in another video. Okay, so on the bottom we have a volume scroller, a headphone jack, a controller port, which means, like, yeah, you could actually hook this up to the TV and then hook it up to a controller, and it would basically function as just like a regular Genesis. Although the first player would just be holding the actual console itself. Yeah, and we have a low battery light. Not exactly the usual thing with handheld consoles. Usually it's like a light that's like usually green, and then it turns red, or like with the Game Boy Advance, or it's always red, but it starts blinking when it's about to run, when it's about to go dead, or it just kind of gets dark, like on the Game Boy Color. The light kind of fades out. Well, it doesn't have a backlight, but it has a power light. This one, the light just comes on red when the battery's low, and at that point you have like a few minutes left to, well, yeah. Unfortunately, most Genesis games did not have a save feature. In fact, the only game I have that has a save feature, I think, is Sonic 3. Most Genesis games did not have a save feature. Well, at least all the ones I had, except for Sonic 3. So either I just got all the games that don't save, or saving just wasn't a common feature with Genesis games. Probably the latter, to be honest. Yes, so, unfortunately, I'm probably not going to be able to show this to you very well, because, it's probably going to be like the links where you can barely see the screen. These older handhelds, you just can't, they don't have a very good screen by today's standards, so you're probably not going to be able to see jack crap. And I'm just going to blow out the cartridge, 'cause I always have to blow out the cartridge on these things. It never seems to work the first time around. I mean, I didn't even try to turn it on before blowing on the cartridge, because yeah, sometimes it takes a few minutes for the screen to come on. Yeah, there it goes. You can kind of see, you can see this better than the Lynx game. This is the Toy Story game for the Genesis, or, well, yeah, the Genesis, like, Toy Story, yeah, it's a pretty decent speaker. It's actually maxed out right now. Not a very high volume handheld, and no, it's not running low on battery because the battery light isn't on. I think it either just shuts off or the screen starts to look weird. I'm not really going to actually review the games, I only have so much time left, but I can kind of show you. This is a side-scroller. You kind of just go back and forth, and you press B to use your whip, and A is jump, or C is jump, depending on, oops, oh, I just knocked the battery pack off. Alright, yeah. Okay, so, yeah, what's another, thing is that, you do have an AC adapter port up here, by the way. I didn't mention that, right next to the power switch, appropriately. Yeah, again, it uses the same, power adapter as the Sega Genesis did. So if you have a Genesis, you could just use the power cord from that, although if you're playing it at home and you still have a Genesis that works, you may as well just use the Genesis. I don't know. Personally, I kind of wish that, like, you could plug in, there was like a player 1 controller port, and then you could just plug in 2 controllers and just have this kind of sitting there just as a console and not as your controller. Because, especially since the Genesis, this wasn't, it was kind of bad design as a portable. A little bump to the cartridge, or just a bump to the console, if it doesn't knock your battery pack off, usually just wiggles the cartridge ever so slightly. It's not really tight in there, which will cause the game to crash, and you'd have to start over again, because most Genesis games did not have a save feature. Yeah, most that I've played, at least, so, yeah, yeah, this is actually one of the better, in my opinion, it's actually, this actually wasn't, this is alright. It's not as, it's not very good by today's standards, but, like, you know, back then this was kind of ahead of its time, like, you know, portable Genesis,